Article 1. The hidden force controlling your life. Understanding what habits really are. Right now, as you're reading this, your brain is running on autopilot for dozens of decisions. You didn't consciously decide how to hold this device, which eye to start reading with, or how to balance your body in your chair. These automatic behaviors are habits, and they're quietly steering your life in ways you might never have imagined. The invisible architecture of your day. Think about your morning. You probably wake up and follow the same sequence of actions without much thought. Maybe you check your phone first, then stumble to the bathroom, brush your teeth in the same pattern, and make coffee the same way you did yesterday and the day before that. This isn't laziness or lack of creativity. This is your brain being incredibly efficient. Scientists estimate that 40 to 45% of our daily actions aren't actually decisions at all. They're habits. That means nearly half of what you do every day happens without conscious thought. Key insight: habits aren't just small behaviors. They are the compound interest of self-improvement, building momentum that either lifts you up or drags you down, one automatic action at a time. What exactly is a habit? A habit is a routine or behavior that is performed regularly and automatically, often without conscious awareness. But here's what makes habits so powerful. They free up mental energy for other tasks while creating predictable patterns in our lives. Imagine if you had to consciously think through every single action: how to walk, how to speak, how to tie your shoes. You'd be mentally exhausted before breakfast. Habits solve this problem by creating mental shortcuts that your brain can execute without conscious oversight. The habit loop, your brain's operating system. Every habit follows a simple neurological loop discovered by researchers at MIT. This loop has 3 parts. The cue. This is the trigger that tells your brain to go into automatic mode and which habit to use. It could be a time of day, an emotional state, a location, or even the presence of certain people. The routine. This is the behavior itself, the automatic action you take. It can be physical, mental, or emotional. The reward. This is the benefit you gain from the behavior. It satisfies a craving and teaches your brain that this particular loop is worth remembering for the future. Try this. Think of one habit you do every day. Can you identify the cue, routine, and reward? For example, seeing your phone. Cue leads to checking social media. Routine, which gives you a hit of social connection or entertainment. Reward. Why your brain loves habits. Your brain is constantly looking for ways to save effort. When you repeat a behavior enough times, your brain literally changes its structure to make that behavior easier to perform. The neural pathways become stronger and more efficient, like a path through the woods that becomes clearer with each person who walks it. This is why breaking a bad habit feels so difficult, and why forming a good habit requires initial effort but becomes easier over time. You're literally rewiring your brain. The 2 faces of habits. Habits are neutral. They're neither inherently good nor bad. They're simply efficient. The same neurological process that helps you automatically brush your teeth can also automatically reach for a cigarette or check your phone compulsively. The difference between people who seem to effortlessly maintain healthy lifestyles and those who struggle isn't willpower or motivation. It's that successful people have learned to install positive habits that serve their goals, while others remain at the mercy of habits that work against them. Remember, you don't eliminate habits. You replace them. The goal isn't to remove the automatic behaviors from your life, but to make sure those automatic behaviors are moving you toward the person you want to become. Taking back control. The first step to mastering habits isn't changing them, it's recognizing them. Most habits operate below the level of conscious awareness, which means you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Over the next few days, start paying attention to your automatic behaviors. Notice when you pick up your phone, what triggers your snacking, or what leads you to feel stressed or calm. Don't judge these behaviors. Just observe them. This awareness is the foundation of everything we'll explore in the coming articles. Because once you understand that nearly half your life is governed by habits, you realize that changing your habits means changing your life. Your first assignment. For the next 3 days, carry a small notebook or use your phone to track one habit. Every time you notice yourself doing this behavior, write down, What happened right before? The cue. What did you do? The routine. How did you feel afterward? The reward. This simple observation will begin to give you power over your automatic behaviors. In our next article, we'll dive deeper into the science of habit formation and learn exactly how long it really takes to build a new habit and why the popular 21 days rule is dangerously misleading. Article 2. The science of sticking. How long habits actually take to form and why most people get it wrong. If you've ever tried to build a new habit, you've probably heard that it takes 21 days. This number gets thrown around so often that it feels like scientific fact. But here's the truth. The 21-day rule isn't just wrong, it's dangerously misleading, and it's probably sabotaging your efforts to change. The myth that's keeping you stuck. The 21-day habit formation idea came from a plastic surgeon named Maxwell Maltz in the 1960s. He noticed that patients took about 21 days to adjust to their new appearance after surgery. Somehow, this observation about psychological adjustment got twisted into a rule about habit formation. But when researchers at University College London actually studied habit formation, they discovered something very different. They tracked 96 people over 254 days, monitoring how long it took for behaviors to become automatic. The results were eye-opening. The real numbers. On average, it took 66 days for a new behavior to become automatic. But here's the crucial part. The range was enormous, from 18 days for simple habits like drinking a glass of water, up to 254 days for more complex behaviors like daily exercise. Why this changes everything. Understanding the real timeline of habit formation changes how you approach personal change. When you expect a habit to stick in 21 days and it doesn't, you assume you failed. You give up. You tell yourself you don't have enough willpower or discipline. But the truth is, you might have been right on track. You just quit too early. Think about it. If you're trying to establish a daily exercise routine and you quit after 3 weeks because it still feels difficult, you might have given up when you were only 1/3 of the way to making it automatic. The habit formation curve. Habit formation doesn't happen in a straight line. It follows a curve that looks like this. Days 1 to 20, maximum effort required. The behavior feels foreign and requires constant conscious decision-making. This is where most people give up. Days 21 to 50, still requires effort, but occasional glimpses of automaticity appear. Some days feel easier than others. Days 51 to 90, the behavior starts feeling more natural. Missing a day feels uncomfortable rather than relieving. Day 90 plus, true automaticity. The behavior happens with minimal conscious effort. Not doing it feels wrong. Reframe your expectations. Instead of expecting habits to stick in 21 days, plan for at least 66 days and be prepared for some habits to take up to 6 months. This isn't failure, it's normal. The factors that speed up or slow down habit formation. Not all habits are created equal. Several factors determine how quickly a behavior becomes automatic. Complexity. Simple behaviors like taking a vitamin become habits faster than complex ones like meditating for 20 minutes. Frequency. Daily behaviors become automatic faster than weekly ones. Your brain needs repetition to build strong neural pathways. Consistency. Doing something every day for 30 days is more effective than doing it sporadically for 60 days. Context. Habits that are tied to existing routines or specific locations form faster than those attempted in varying circumstances. Motivation. The stronger your emotional connection to the behavior, the faster it becomes automatic. The plateau effect. Here's something the research revealed that nobody talks about. Habit formation isn't smooth. There are plateaus where it feels like no progress is happening, followed by sudden jumps in automaticity. This means you might feel like a habit isn't sticking for weeks, then suddenly realize you've been doing it without thinking. Understanding this prevents you from giving up during the plateau periods. The golden rule. Missing 1 day won't break a forming habit, but missing 2 days in a row significantly slows the process. If you miss 1 day, make getting back on track the next day your absolute priority. The compound effect of patience. When you understand that real habit formation takes 2 to 6 months, something interesting happens. You stop looking for immediate results and start building systems for long-term success. This shift in perspective is liberating. Instead of beating yourself up for not being disciplined enough after 3 weeks, you recognize that you're in the normal process of rewiring your brain. People who successfully build lasting habits aren't more disciplined, they're more patient with the process and more strategic about setting themselves up for success during the formation period. Designing your environment for success. Since habit formation takes months, not weeks, your environment becomes crucial. You need to design your surroundings to support the behavior during the entire formation period, not just the first few enthusiastic days. If you're building a reading habit, don't just put a book on your nightstand for a week. Create a permanent reading space with good lighting, remove distractions, and have backup books ready. You're designing for months of repetition, not days. The 90-day commitment. Choose one habit you want to build and commit to doing it for 90 days, regardless of how you feel about it. Track your progress daily, but don't judge your success until day 90. This gives your brain enough time to make the behavior truly automatic. Why understanding this science gives you power. Knowledge of the real timeline of habit formation is like having an accurate map instead of a misleading one. You know where you are in the process, you can plan for the difficult periods, and you won't abandon the journey when you hit inevitable obstacles. Most importantly, you'll stop blaming yourself for being weak when habits don't stick immediately. Instead, you'll recognize that building automatic behaviors is a skill that requires time, patience, and the right strategies. In our next article, we'll explore the most powerful technique for building new habits: habit stacking. You'll learn how to use your existing automatic behaviors as anchors for new ones, making the formation process faster and more reliable. Article 3. The Stacking Strategy: How to Build New Habits by Hijacking Old Ones. What if I told you that the habits you already have, even the ones you consider bad, could become the secret weapons for building the habits you want? This is the power of habit stacking, a technique that turns your existing automatic behaviors into launching pads for new ones. The problem with starting from scratch. Most people try to build new habits in a vacuum. They decide they want to meditate, so they vaguely commit to meditate every day. They want to exercise, so they tell themselves they'll work out regularly. They want to eat better, so they resolve to be healthier. This approach fails because it requires you to remember to do something new at some point during your day. Your brain, which is already managing thousands of automatic behaviors, struggles to fit in this new unfamiliar action. Habit stacking solves this problem by anchoring new behaviors to existing ones. Instead of trying to create a new neural pathway from nothing, you're adding a car to an already moving train. The habit stacking formula. After before existing habit, I will, new habit. Why your brain loves this approach. Your existing habits have already carved deep neural pathways in your brain. These pathways are like well-traveled highways with strong traffic flow. When you stack a new habit onto an existing one, you're essentially adding an exit ramp to that highway. This is far easier than building an entirely new road through uncharted territory. Your brain already has the cue, the existing habit, and the established pattern, the time and context. You're just extending the routine. The art of choosing the right anchor. Not all existing habits make good anchors for new ones. The best anchor habits are highly consistent. They happen every day, preferably at the same time. Specific. They have a clear beginning and end, not vague or variable. Already automatic. You don't have to think about doing them. Good anchor habits include making coffee, brushing teeth, sitting down at your desk, getting in your car, finishing lunch, or turning off your bedroom light. Poor anchor habits include after I wake up, too vague, when I have time, inconsistent, or after I exercise, if exercise isn't already automatic. Find your anchors. List 10 things you do every single day without thinking. These are your potential anchor habits. The more specific and consistent, the better. Stacking in action. Real examples. Let's look at how habit stacking works in practice. For building a reading habit, after I pour my morning coffee, I will read 1 page of a book. For exercise, after I put on my work shoes, I will do 10 push-ups. For gratitude practice, before I check my phone in the morning, I will think of one thing I'm grateful for. For better nutrition, after I sit down for lunch, I will eat my vegetables first. Notice how each new habit is small and immediately follows or precedes a specific existing behavior. There's no ambiguity about when to do it. The 2-minute rule. When you're stacking habits, start ridiculously small. The new behavior should take less than 2 minutes to complete. This isn't your final goal, it's your starting point. Read for 30 minutes becomes read 1 page. Exercise for an hour becomes do 1 push-up. Meditate for 20 minutes becomes take 3 deep breaths. This might seem too easy to matter, but that's exactly the point. You're not trying to achieve your ultimate goal immediately. You're trying to establish the behavior pattern. Once the habit becomes automatic, you can gradually expand it. Remember, a habit must be established before it can be improved. You can't optimize something that doesn't exist yet. Advanced stacking, building chains. Once you've mastered basic habit stacking, you can create chains of behaviors that flow naturally from one to the next. After I pour my coffee, I will read 1 page. After I read 1 page, I will write down 1 insight. After I write down 1 insight, I will plan my most important task for the day. This creates a morning routine where each behavior naturally triggers the next, building momentum and creating a powerful start to your day. Troubleshooting common stacking problems. The stack breaks. If you consistently skip the new habit, your anchor might not be consistent enough, or the new behavior might be too large. Choose a more reliable anchor or make the new habit smaller. The timing feels wrong. Some combinations don't flow naturally. After I brush my teeth, I will go for a run might not work if you brush your teeth right before bed. Match the energy level of the new habit to the timing of the anchor. Forgetting to stack. Write your habit stack on a note and place it where you'll see it during your anchor habit. Visual reminders help during the formation period. Create your first stack. Choose 1 anchor habit and 1 tiny new behavior. Write it in the format, after I anchor habit, I will, new habit. Practice this exact sequence for the next 7 days, focusing only on consistency, not perfection. The compound power of small stacks. The beauty of habit stacking isn't just that it makes new habits easier to remember, it's that it creates compound growth. Each successfully stacked habit becomes an anchor for the next one. Over time, you build interconnected systems of positive behaviors that reinforce each other. Your morning coffee doesn't just wake you up. It triggers reading, which triggers reflection, which triggers planning, which triggers focused work. People who seem to effortlessly maintain multiple good habits aren't superhuman. They've learned to stack behaviors strategically, using their existing automatic patterns as the foundation for continuous improvement. From stacking to systems. As you get comfortable with habit stacking, you'll start to see your entire day differently. Instead of a random collection of activities, you'll see opportunities to create flows and systems that make positive behaviors inevitable. This systematic approach to habit formation is what separates people who make lasting changes from those who rely on motivation and willpower. You're not just building individual habits, you're designing a lifestyle. In our next article, we'll explore how to handle the inevitable obstacles and setbacks that come with habit formation. You'll learn the difference between a temporary lapse and a permanent failure and discover the recovery strategies that keep successful people on track. Article 4. When habits break. The recovery strategies that separate success from failure. Here's what nobody tells you about building habits. You will fail. You'll miss days. You'll fall off track. You'll have weeks where everything falls apart. This isn't a character flaw or lack of willpower. It's part of the process. The difference between people who succeed long-term and those who give up isn't that they never fail. It's how they handle failure when it inevitably comes. The perfectionist's trap. Most people approach habits with an all-or-nothing mindset. They create elaborate routines, stick to them for a few weeks, then hit their first major obstacle. Maybe they get sick, travel for work, or face a family crisis. Their perfect streak breaks, and their inner perfectionist declares the entire effort a failure. This black and white thinking is toxic to habit formation. It treats a temporary setback as a permanent character judgment. I missed 3 days of exercise, so I'm not the kind of person who works out. I ate junk food yesterday, so I've ruined my healthy eating plan. But here's the truth. Your habits aren't defined by your perfect days. They're defined by how quickly you get back on track after your imperfect ones. The recovery rule: never miss twice. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit, the habit of not doing the thing you're trying to build. Understanding the types of failure. Not all failures are created equal. Understanding the difference helps you respond appropriately. The slip: a one-time miss due to unusual circumstances. You were sick, traveling, or dealing with an emergency. These are normal and don't significantly impact habit formation. The slide: missing 2 to 3 days in a row, often due to changing circumstances or losing motivation. This is where intervention is crucial. The spiral: missing a week or more, usually accompanied by negative self-talk and the feeling that you've ruined everything. This requires a complete reset strategy. Each type requires a different recovery approach. Treating a slip like a spiral creates unnecessary stress, while treating a spiral like a slip ignores the need for strategic intervention. The bounce-back protocol. When you miss your habit, follow this exact sequence. Step 1. Acknowledge without judgment. Notice that you missed without adding emotional drama. I didn't meditate yesterday is a fact. I'm terrible at sticking to commitments is unnecessary judgment that makes recovery harder. Step 2. Identify the cause. Was it a scheduling conflict, lack of energy, changed environment, or something else? Understanding why helps prevent future occurrences. Step 3. Plan your return. Decide exactly when and how you'll get back on track. Be specific. I'll do my workout tomorrow at 7 a.m. in my living room. Step 4. Execute immediately. Don't wait for motivation or the perfect moment. Take the smallest possible action toward your habit as soon as possible. Create your recovery plan. Before you need it, write down your bounce-back protocol for the habit you're building. What's the smallest action you can take to get back on track? Where will you do it? When will you do it? Having this planned in advance removes decision-making from an already difficult moment. The power of minimum viable habits. One of the best recovery strategies is to have a minimum viable version of every habit. This is the smallest possible action that still counts as doing the habit. If your habit is exercise for 30 minutes, your minimum viable version might be do 5 push-ups. If your habit is read for 20 minutes, your minimum viable version might be read 1 paragraph. On days when doing your full habit feels impossible, you're exhausted, overwhelmed, or dealing with unexpected challenges, do the minimum viable version. This maintains the neural pathway and prevents the habit from completely breaking. Environmental recovery. Often, habits break because our environment changes. You had a perfect morning routine at home, but then you traveled for work. You were eating healthy when you controlled your kitchen, but then you moved in with a roommate who keeps junk food around. Recovery requires adapting your habits to new environments rather than waiting for the perfect conditions to return. Travel strategy. Identify which habits you can maintain regardless of location and which need travel-specific versions. Maybe you can't do your full workout, but you can do bodyweight exercises in any hotel room. Social strategy. Plan how to maintain habits when around people who don't share them. This might mean eating before social events, finding workout partners, or simply being prepared to explain your choices without being defensive. Stress strategy. High-stress periods are when habits often break, but they're also when you need positive routines most. Identify which habits help you manage stress and prioritize maintaining those above others. Flexibility principle. Rigid habits break under pressure. Flexible habits bend and adapt. Build flexibility into your habits from the beginning by having multiple ways to fulfill them. The compound recovery effect. Here's something counterintuitive. Getting better at recovering from broken habits makes you better at building habits in the first place. When you know you can bounce back from setbacks, you're more willing to start ambitious habits and less likely to give up at the first sign of difficulty. This creates a positive cycle. You attempt more challenging habits because you trust your recovery skills, which gives you more practice with recovery, which makes you more confident about attempting even better habits. Redefining success. Instead of measuring success by perfect streaks, measure it by recovery speed. How quickly do you get back on track after missing? How do you treat yourself during the recovery process? Are you getting better at bouncing back? A person who exercises 5 days a week for a year with several breaks and recoveries is infinitely more successful than someone who exercises every day for a month, then quits entirely after their first missed day. Track your recovery. Along with tracking your habit completion, track your recovery time. When you miss, how many days does it take to get back on track? Celebrate improvements in this metric as much as you celebrate consistency. The long-term perspective. Building lasting habits isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. The people who successfully transform their lives through habits aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who fail frequently, recover quickly, and keep going anyway. This resilience becomes a meta skill that extends beyond individual habits. You become someone who can start over, adapt to changing circumstances, and maintain progress despite setbacks. These qualities serve you not just in habit formation, but in every area of life where consistency matters. In our final article, we'll explore the ultimate level of habit mastery, designing complete systems that make positive behaviors inevitable and negative behaviors nearly impossible. You'll learn how to create an environment and lifestyle where good choices become the default, effortless option. Article 5. The ultimate system. Designing a life where good habits are inevitable. You've learned to recognize habits, understand their formation timeline, stack them strategically, and recover from setbacks. Now it's time for the ultimate level. Creating an integrated system where positive behaviors become so natural, so inevitable, that willpower becomes almost irrelevant. This is how you move from someone who has good habits to someone who is shaped by them. Creating an integrated system where positive behaviors become so natural, so inevitable, that willpower becomes almost irrelevant. This is how you move from someone who has good habits to someone who is shaped by them. From habits to identity. The highest level of habit mastery isn't about doing different things, it's about becoming a different person. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Repeat enough votes, and you win the election of your identity. When you exercise regularly, you start to see yourself as someone who works out. When you read daily, you become a reader. When you eat nutritious food consistently, you identify as someone who takes care of their body. This identity shift is powerful because it changes your decision-making at a fundamental level. A person who identifies as healthy doesn't need willpower to choose salad over pizza. Choosing salad aligns with who they are. Someone who sees themselves as disciplined doesn't struggle to wake up early. Early rising is simply what disciplined people do. Identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Then ask, what would this type of person do in this situation? The 4 layers of behavior change. Most people try to change their habits at the surface level, focusing on outcomes, what they want to achieve, or processes, what they want to do. But lasting change happens when you work from the inside out. Layer 1, identity, who you are. This is the core, your beliefs, worldview, and self-image. Layer 2, process, what you do, your habits, systems, and methods. Layer 3, outcomes, what you get, your results, achievements, and external measures. Most habit change fails because it starts with outcomes and works inward. I want to lose 20 pounds, so I'll exercise daily. But identity-based habit change starts with identity and works outward. I want to become someone who prioritizes health, so I'll make choices that healthy people make. Environmental design, making good choices inevitable. Your environment is the invisible hand that shapes your behavior. Every day you make dozens of choices that feel like personal decisions, but are actually responses to environmental cues. Master your environment, and you master your habits. The principle of least effort. People gravitate toward the option that requires the least energy. If you want to eat more fruit, put it where you'll see it first when you open the refrigerator. If you want to read more, place books throughout your living space. If you want to exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Friction design. Add friction to bad habits and remove friction from good ones. Make it harder to check social media by logging out of accounts and removing apps from your home screen. Make it easier to drink water by placing bottles everywhere you spend time. Environmental audit. Walk through your living space and identify every cue that triggers an unwanted behavior. Then identify every barrier that makes desired behaviors more difficult. Make a list of specific changes you can implement this week. The power of social systems. We are social creatures, and our habits are deeply influenced by the people around us. The most powerful habit systems leverage social dynamics to create accountability and support. The 3 social levels. Level 1, the close, your family, closest friends, and people you see daily. Their habits become your habits through constant exposure and social pressure. Level 2, the many, your broader social circle, coworkers, and community. They establish what's normal in your environment. Level 3, the powerful, people you admire, mentors, and role models. They show you what's possible and inspire you to raise your standards. Strategic habit formation involves intentionally curating each level. Join groups where your desired behavior is normal. Find accountability partners who share your goals. Seek mentors who embody the identity you want to develop. Social strategy. You don't just adopt habits, you adopt the social groups where those habits are normal. Want to become a runner? Join a running club. Want to read more? Join a book club. The social pressure will pull you toward the behavior even when motivation fails. Building automatic systems. The ultimate habit system runs on autopilot. It's designed so well that good choices happen naturally without conscious effort or decision-making fatigue. Decision elimination. The fewer decisions you have to make about your habits, the more likely you are to maintain them. Barack Obama famously wore the same color suit every day to eliminate decision fatigue for more important choices. You can apply this principle to your habits. Set specific times for specific activities. Always work out at 6 a.m. Always read at 9 p.m. Always eat lunch at the same healthy restaurant. When the decision is pre-made, execution becomes automatic. System redundancy. Build multiple pathways to the same outcome. If your goal is daily movement, don't just rely on going to the gym. Have backup options. Bodyweight exercises at home, walking meetings, taking stairs instead of elevators. This way, changing circumstances don't derail your entire system. The habit stack ecosystem. At the mastery level, you don't just stack individual habits. You create ecosystems of interconnected behaviors that reinforce each other throughout your day. A master-level morning routine might look like this. When I wake up, I immediately make my bed, commitment to the day. After I make my bed, I drink a large glass of water, hydration. After I drink water, I do 5 minutes of stretching, mobility. After I stretch, I write 3 priorities for the day, focus. After I write my priorities, I eat a healthy breakfast, nutrition. After breakfast, I review my schedule, preparation. Each behavior flows naturally into the next, creating momentum that carries through the entire morning. Missing one step feels uncomfortable because it breaks the flow, making the system self-reinforcing. Design your ecosystem. Map out your ideal day from wake to sleep. Identify natural transition points where you can stack complementary habits. Focus on creating 2 to 3 strong chains rather than trying to optimize every moment. The advanced tracking system, master-level habit tracking, goes beyond simple completion checkmarks. You track leading indicators, environmental factors, and system performance, not just individual behaviors. Leading indicators. Track the behaviors that predict success with your main habits. If your goal is reading daily, track how often you charge your e-reader, how many books you have ready, and how often you eliminate distractions in your reading space. Environmental tracking. Monitor which environments support your habits and which sabotage them. Where do you exercise most consistently? What time of day are you most likely to eat well? When do you feel most creative? System health. Track how well your overall system is functioning. Are your habit stacks flowing smoothly? How quickly do you recover from disruptions? Are your social environments supporting or hindering your goals? The compound effect at scale. When you master habits at the system level, you experience compound effects that go far beyond individual behaviors. Your entire life begins to improve simultaneously because all your positive habits reinforce each other. Exercise improves your energy, which improves your focus, which improves your work performance, which reduces stress, which improves your sleep, which improves your recovery, which improves your exercise performance. Reading increases your knowledge, which improves your decision-making, which improves your relationships, which improves your happiness, which motivates you to read more. This is why people who master one area of their life often seem to effortlessly improve in others. They're not superhuman. They've learned to create positive feedback loops between their habits. The integration principle. At the highest level, your habits don't compete for time and energy. They create time and energy. A well-designed system makes you more capable, not more busy. Continuous evolution. A master-level habit system isn't static. It evolves as you grow and your circumstances change. You regularly audit what's working, what isn't, and what needs adjustment. Quarterly, ask yourself, which habits are serving my current goals? Which have become outdated? What new challenges require new habits? How can I simplify my system while maintaining its effectiveness? This isn't about perfection. It's about conscious evolution. You become someone who doesn't just maintain habits, but who consciously designs and redesigns their life for continuous improvement. The ultimate freedom. Here's the paradox of habit mastery. The more automatic your positive behaviors become, the more freedom you experience. When good choices happen without conscious effort, you free up mental energy for creativity, relationships, and pursuing meaningful goals. You stop spending mental energy on basic life maintenance and start using it for growth and contribution. You move from managing your life to designing it, from reacting to circumstances to creating them. Your mastery plan. Over the next 30 days, implement one element from each section of this article. Choose one identity you want to develop, design one environmental change, build one social connection around your habits. Create one automatic system and set up one advanced tracking method. Focus on integration rather than perfection. From autopilot to conscious design. You began this journey learning that nearly half your life runs on autopilot through habits. You've now learned to take conscious control of that autopilot system, designing it to serve your highest aspirations rather than your lowest impulses. This is the true mastery of habits. Not just building individual behaviors, but becoming the architect of your own character. You understand that you are not at the mercy of your circumstances or your past programming. You have the knowledge and tools to systematically become the person you want to be. The journey from unconscious habits to conscious systems is not easy, but it is transformative. Every day, with every choice, you are writing the story of who you become. Make it a story worth reading. Your life is not determined by your genetics, your upbringing, or your circumstances. It is determined by your systems. And now you know how to build systems that make the person you want to become inevitable. The autopilot is still running. But now, you're the one programming it.